Hey, everybody, this is Darren Sabeda again, Bay Area News Group, Mercury News, East Bay Times, here with Christian Babcock, Joseph Dicus, and Nathan Canilau, heading into week 13 of the high school football season, which means section championship games in most, in the top two divisions, the top division of both the NCS and the CCS, and then semifinal games in the rest of the divisions. We got two major ones on Friday night, although not elimination games. We've got in Pleasant Hill, Diablo Valley College, where De La Salle will take on Pittsburg in a highly anticipated game. Been waiting for this one all season. But the loser is not out. The loser will play the winner of the Cardinal Newman San Ramon Valley game next weekend. And the winner of the De La Salle Pittsburg game will move on to either a regional game, or in De La Salle's case, you got to assume that they're going to be going to the Open Division State Championship game. And in the CCS, same thing, where St. Francis and St. Ignatius will play on Friday night at San Jose City College, with the winner moving on to the NorCal Regionals, while the loser will drop back down and play the winner of the Riordan Los Gatos game for the Division I championship next weekend. So anyhow, speaking of Los Gatos, Christian, you were at that game on Saturday where they beat Sarah. Sarah had won 4 CCS championships in a row in the highest division, CCS. They were clearly the power over the last half decade or so in CCS. Tip of the cap to Nathan for picking against Sarah. All of us picked Sarah to win, and Christian was there at Sarah, Brady Family Stadium. It looked like Sarah needed Tom Brady on Saturday. Tell us how Los Gatos did it.
Yeah, they could have used him. And Los Gatos was very grateful to you, Nathan, that you picked them. They definitely noticed that. So shout out to those at Los Gatos who watch our show. But yeah, Los Gatos just really put together a great game. Defensively, they held Sarah down. They didn't allow them to do those long runs. That's really the explosive component of Sarah's offense. So that was their game plan. They executed it very well. Los Gatos kind of took over the game late in the game, with Grayson Dozlak running the ball. One possession, he just ran it 6 straight times, and they went, I think it was about 80 yards for a touchdown, and that was the game winner. And Scotty Brennan really stepped up in his senior year, made some really nice throws, looking like Tua out there, minus the concussions, which is good. We don't want that. No, he had some great downfield throws, great intermediate throws to move the chains on some rollouts. So it was just a really well-played game by Los Gatos. And some wild stuff. There was a fake punt around midfield. There were multiple turnovers, but over the course of 4 quarters, Los Gatos was the better team.
Yeah, I watched that game on the stream. It was a terrific game. Kind of reminded me, and Mark Crail mentioned it after the game, that he had talked to Drew Brown, or Drew Brown texted him, or they texted back and forth from the game 10 years ago, which was the last meeting between the teams, where Los Gatos beat Sarah at Sarah 28-0 in a CCS first round game. Shout out to Mark Crail. I mean, this guy is probably the most underrated coach in the Bay Area. His program, he stepped into some big shoes when he took over at Los Gatos for Butch Catalico, who had been there for a gazillion years and had done so many great things, and had a lot of that town was behind Butch. And when Crail came in, he was a quote unquote outsider coming over from, I believe, Santa Clara, because he had coached at Pioneer and had success, and went over to Santa Clara High, and then was hired by Los Gatos out of Santa Clara High. And the guy has earned a ton of respect in that town. And my God, his program year in and year out is competitive at the highest level. You see a lot of public schools that they get thrown up against the WCAL schools, and they wilt. Los Gatos clearly has not wilted in the highest division of CCS. So shout out to Los Gatos. I'll let Joseph or Nathan chime in real quick before we move on to talk a little bit about De La Salle Pittsburg.
So, man, that is the game of the year in my opinion. I know we called De La Salle Sarah the game of the year earlier, and that was a great matchup, at least on paper. But I think I've been waiting for De La Salle Pittsburg for 2 years now, because they didn't play last year. Wish they had, but they didn't. And I am really interested to see, Pittsburg I hope they're able to give them a competitive game. A little bit of pause gives me pause that they could only beat Plain Valley Charter 35-14, especially after De La Salle beats them. Was it 48-3?
Is that what it was?
But at the same time, every game's a new game, and Pittsburgh's got a passing attack with Marley Alcantara, and it seems like 5 billion different skill position players that could all take it to the house at any play. So, man, it's going to be a great game that we're all going to be soaking wet because it's supposed to, dump buckets of rain on Friday?
That's what we're being told. Nathan, you've seen Pittsburgh quite a few times. You wrote a really great feature on Marley Alcantara, the Pittsburgh quarterback. You picked Pittsburgh to win this game last week when we picked our division champions, and you still feel that way?
I do. I will say the Clayton Valley game did not back my prediction greatly, but I do think that Pittsburgh passing attack is going to be, I think, an X factor. I look at a game, I think we mentioned it last week. St. Mary's of Stockton did it was really close, and the reason why it was really close, looking back at it, is they had a really strong passing attack. They went empty backfield. Their quarterback could get the ball out quickly. So I look at this matchup similar to that, where it's like, yes, De La Salle's probably going to overpower them in the trenches, but it's going to be between, can they hang with the Pittsburgh receivers, who I think 2 of them got Georgia offers this over the weekend. Truly Bell, I believe, was one of them. So I think that's going to be the X factor. Like I said, I don't think Pittsburgh wins some 17-14 low-scoring match. It's going to have to be 45-42, 45-40, something like that, where Pittsburgh has to just go off, because I know De La Salle is going to run down their throats. I don't think Pittsburgh's run defense is as good as it needs to be to play against De La Salle. I think that's pretty evident from when I watched them against Riordan about 2 months ago. But I do think that at the end, I believe that the Pittsburgh passing attack is going to be the X factor, and they're going to take it in a very high-scoring, close game.
I personally think the rain is going to be the X factor, and that's going to really affect Pittsburgh more so than De La Salle, especially if it's raining, and windy, and that's going to play right into De La Salle's hands, I think. And this,
I will say though,
this is an old school matchup playing it at DVC, where De La Salle used to play a lot of its big games at DVC, right down the road from its home field there. And
I don't want to give away my pick, but I will say, if the game, regardless of who wins, if it's 45-42 final score, I will not be disappointed. Okay.
I don't think anybody would be disappointed. Before we move on to our picks, let's touch base on the game that Christian's going to be on Friday night, which is another huge game in the St. Ignatius. Which, man, I didn't think that they even ever stepped foot off of their own football field, but apparently they're going to do that this week, right, Christian? Where they're going to have to get on a bus and go down 280 there to San Jose City College. I look at St. Ignatius as a team that, geez, I mean, just you can't count these guys out. They are resilient, and it doesn't matter if they're down in the first half, couple scores. It's doesn't faze them. Did you see the first game against St. Francis?
Yes, I did.
Do you see a way for St. Ignatius to pull this one off?
I do. First of all, like you mentioned, they're going to have to come to me this time, so that's nice. But yeah, the last game, I feel like, I know you said you can't count these guys out, and I agree with you. The only thing I would say is, out of the various SI games I have either written up or been to this year, this was the one where whatever it is they have this year, we call them second half SI and all that, it wasn't there. I mean, St. Francis outscored them 27-0. Kingston Carolina basically took over the game by himself with a little help from, his friends and some throws from Aaron Knapp, etc. But it's going to be a different challenge. I think this is not the kind of game SI can just kind of pull a rabbit out of its hat. They're going to have to put 4 quarters together, and we'll see if they can. Like you said, it's a long trip. Random thought occurred to me that I'm going to be seeing them in their road uniforms, but I won't, because they're the high seed. So even though they're coming all the way down to San Jose, we're going to see them in the red again, I assume, although they pulled out the black jerseys for one game. So, but I think they're going red for this one. Should be a great game.
And they've come down. I remember when I first came back to following high school a little more than a decade ago, and they had a big game against Bellarmine, CCS championship game there at San Jose City, which I'm pretty sure it was in the rain. And they went to overtime, and SI won on a walk-off touchdown in overtime. Very low-scoring game. But it was electric. It was loud. And I anticipate SI is going to bring a lot of fans down for this championship game on Friday. At one point, I mean, do you think I assume that game's going to be really close. So I don't think either team are going to have to make a decision. Like, let's say De La Salle Pittsburgh turns into a one-sided game, which, given Pittsburgh, the way Pittsburgh's played this season, it might not happen because Pittsburgh's been extremely good, especially against St. John Bosco.
Yeah,
they definitely held their own down there. But that's going to be a decision. And I think we mentioned it to SRV last year, but SRV hung with De La Salle all the way to the end. In fact, SRV had a lead going to the fourth quarter last year because if you lose this game, you're going to have to play next week.
Yep.
You don't want to lose any players if you're, I assume that both of these games will be competitive enough that we're going to have the ones all the way through, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to the picks. I rearranged the order so we have our bigger games at the end. We're going to start off with the NCS Division 5. This game is going to be Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock, where Salesian will be at home to play an undefeated Sonoma Valley team. Salesian's 11-0, or 10-1, and Sonoma Valley is 11-0. I took Salesian in this one. They're very tough to beat at home, kind of like what we said about Sarah last week. Lefty took Mike Lefkow took Salesian, and the computer has Salesian winning a close one. Cal Prep's computer has Salesian winning a close one, 31-27. We'll start with Christian. Who do you got?
Yeah. First of all, random shout out to Sonoma Valley. It's pretty hard to be 11-0 at this point of the year. So very impressive season for them. I think this is going to be a pretty close game regardless. I didn't pick Salesian to win this bracket, but I still do think they're a pretty good team. And although it's not a super long trip, I think the fact that they're at home is going to help them, especially if it's going to be raining. So give me Salesian.
All right. Nathan, who you got?
Yeah, I got Salesian. I think their star wide receiver, Carlton Perliat, is I think he's just been so dominant this season, and they have a good passing game. They got a couple backs. I think that will work well for them at home, so I'm going Salesian.
Joseph?
Sam, going with Salesian as well.
All right, clean sweep for the Pride. Game 2 on the list is Sequoia. We've talked plenty about Sequoia. We've written about Sequoia. Sequoia's 6-5, got a big win last week over previously undefeated Gun. They're going to be traveling to play South San Francisco, the defending Division 5 champion, which is going to bring a 9-2 record into the Friday night game in South City. So, who do you got, Christian? Who you taking in this one?
Yeah, this might be the rock fight to end all rock fights if the weather is how we think it is and the way these teams like to run the ball. I picked Sequoia to win this bracket, so I better stick with them. I think they're a really good team. They had kind of a slow start to the season. They had some guys out. Those guys are back now. And I think this is a really, good opportunity for them by virtue of how, these brackets work. They may be a better team than a D5 team, and this is their opportunity to go out and prove it.
Nathan?
Yeah, I'm going South City. I think they've been they're used to playing in, the cloudy weather down there in South San Francisco, the mist, the fog. So I don't think their rain's going to bother them too much. And I think their running game is pretty dominant. So give me South San Francisco.
Joseph?
Yeah, I'm going with South San Francisco. I picked them to win the bracket, and not only do they run the ball, but they line up under center, which is kind of a rarity in today's high school football. But that means that you're not having to worry about bad snaps from the center or turning the ball over in that way. So I think that could be an advantage for South City in a bad weather.
I've got South City winning as well. Same with Mike Lefkow, and the computer agrees with Christian taking Sequoia 19-14.
It's a lot of points.
It's going to be an interesting game. Game 3 on the list, an NCS Division 4 game. Where American Canyon, the 2 seed, will be at home to face Nathan's alma mater, Granada, at 7-4. Granada finally gets a break from not having to play Livermore, which they played the last 2 Fridays. I think it's gonna be a good game, but I'm gonna stick with Granada to win this one. It's gonna be close, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. But I'm taking Granada. Lefko's taking American Canyon. Nathan, who do you got?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go against my alma mater here because I picked American Canyon to win this bracket. I don't feel great about it because American Canyon only beat College Park by 7-0 last week, and that gives me a really big pause. But I think maybe American Canyon gets it done against Granada. Granada has to travel to American Canyon; they're at home. I think maybe that plays well for the team up north.
Joseph, are you going to go with Nathan's alma mater, or are you going to pick against them as well?
No, I've seen Granada. They're a scrappy team. I mean, that's the best way I can describe them. They scratch and claw. I think American Canyon's going to win an ugly game. I think a lot of these games are going to be ugly if the weather is as bad as we think it is going to be.
So you're taking American Canyon?
I am.
Christian?
Yeah, I had to look up where American Canyon was, and I hope I have this right. I think it's somewhere in Napa County.
Napa County.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's not too, I mean, that's a bit of a trip for Granada, but it's not like they have to go all the way to the northern part of the state. I don't know. I think Granada might have a little something cooking. I know you said they don't have to play Livermore again, but they won the last 2, and they won the most recent one by more points than the first one. So I think they're kind of on a bit of a roll right now. I think they're in a good spot to go on the road and get this win. So I'm picking Granada.
So you're taking Granada. I'm taking Granada, and Cal Preps is taking Granada 26-21. Game 4 on the list is a CCS Division 4 game going to be played there in San Jose, where Piedmont Hills, the number 1 seed, its coach, Matt Keesley, going to be stepping down at the end of the season. So this is an emotional run for the Piedmont Hills Pirates program. Matt's been there forever and has done a great job there at Piedmont Hills. They're going to be facing Burlingame, which you look at Burlingame's season log, and that Wilcox game still stands out. Like they beat Wilcox. So it's really tough to pick against Burlingame, but I just think Piedmont Hills has some magic going in its coach's last run. I'm taking Piedmont Hills to win a very, very close game. Low scoring, very close. Lapkow's taking Piedmont Hills. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, I mentioned in our shows last week, I think it's going to be Piedmont Hills and Branham. So I'm going to go with Piedmont Hills. I agree with you. It should be a close game. If Burlingame's win over Wilcox had a few kind of oddities. There were some turnovers, really low amount of drives. There was a goal line stand and then a 99-yard drive. I think they might need some of those elements if they're going to win this game. So I think it's more likely that Piedmont Hills pulls it out.
Joseph?
Yeah, I don't believe in magic. I believe in Burlingame's ability to beat a higher seed. Like you said, they beat Wilcox, and they beat Wilcox, I believe, at Wilcox, which makes that game even more impressive. And I think Burlingame's going to pull it out.
Nathan, you agree with Joseph?
I do. I don't believe in Disney stories in this context, so I'm going to go with Burlingame with the upset. I think their ability to muck up a game, especially against a higher seed, is going to play really well for them. And again, weather might play a factor, so I think that might play a role for Burlingame in a win.
I'd just like to point out that this is not exactly a Disney story if Piedmont wins this game. I mean, Piedmont on paper, is the better team. Burlingame's been kind of up and down, so it's not. It's sometimes Disney is the big bully corporation, so that's what I'm going with this week.
Okay, whatever.
The computer's taking Piedmont Hills 24-19. Game 5 on the list, also a D4 game, where Sacred Heart Prep at 5-6, the 3 seed, going to be traveling to yet another quote unquote Disney story with Steven Johnson hanging him up at the end of the season, at least for the time being. I know he wants to coach again at some point. Well, his Bruins at 8-3 are going to be at home to play Sacred Heart Prep. This was also a really, really, really tough game to pick. A Sacred Heart Prep coming out of that Bay division. We saw the Bay went undefeated last week in the playoffs. There are a lot of good teams in the Bay division. but I'm gonna stick with the theme, the story. I'm gonna go with Branham to win this game. It's gonna be close. Nathan,
Yeah,
are
I'm going
you
with Big
gonna,
B's here.
are you gonna pour some water on this theme?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm buying this Disney story. I'm going with the Big B's here. Branham Bruins. I think they win this one big. So give me
Whoa,
Branham.
big.
Yeah, I
Big.
do. Yeah. I think
Wow.
that offense is rolling right now. They scored like 40 points last week. I think they're in a good spot.
50.
Yeah, 50, yeah.
Joseph, you agree with Nathan?
Well, first of all, I picked Sacred Heart Prep to win the bracket, so I think that tells you all you need to know. Shout out to their boys water polo and girls water polo teams for sweeping CCS Open, by the way. But in between those games, I was able to walk over to the field and watch them warm up for a little bit. The football team looked pretty talented to me. That's really all I can say is that I picked you guys to win the bracket. So that's my Disney story.
He's taking the Gators. Christian, we know who you're taking. You're taking Branham, right? Because you said there's going to be a final between Branham and Piedmont. Or are you changing?
No, although I did struggle with this one. I mean, SHP, I saw them against Wilcox. They're a really big team, pretty physical, have a good running back. All I got to say is Steven Johnson, don't fail me now. I mean, I think, Branham at home, it's going to be some of that Disney magic going on. Shout out to the Bruins of UCLA, which is pretty close to Disneyland down there, where I attended for 1 year. But anyway, I think Branham is a really good team. Like Nathan said, they're kind of rolling offensively. Anytime you put up 50 points in high school football, that's kind of an eye-opener. So you know what? Bob Iger, send us some checks. We're going Disney all the way. Branham winning this one.
Computer, unfortunately, is going with Sacred Heart Prep, 31-28. So
the computer has no empathy.
Another close game is, we might want to take a pause here because competitive equity, these brackets, I know there's a lot of people who don't like them because it moves teams around, up, down, don't know which divisions they're going to be playing in. But the games are much more compelling. Is that what we like?
Okay, get on my soapbox for a second.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. One, San Marin absolutely should not have been in Division One. I think we can all agree that they probably should not have been there,
right,
playing against De La Salle. With that said, if El Cerrito didn't get barred from the playoffs, San Marin would have been in Division Two, and all of a sudden, San Marin is playing Vintage, and they're playing with Liberty. They're playing with Amador Valley, Bishop O'Dowd. That's more their speed.
I'm going to get on my soapbox really quick. NCS should tweak and go 6 teams for that open Division One bracket and just move the top 2 teams into the championship game. I don't think anybody would have complained had De La Salle and Pittsburg had an extra week to prepare for this game this week. And the loser doesn't fall out. So De La Salle is not knocking a team out of the playoffs, although you're taking 2 fewer teams. But I've looked at some of the teams throughout the brackets, and there's some 3-7 in there. There's some teams with losing records that, hey, try to get there again next year. 3-7 is just not cutting it this year. And you take 2 teams out, you go 54 teams, and De La Salle doesn't knock out anybody. That's my feeling.
Yeah. I know that there are people who have said by putting all these strong teams in kind of the same brackets, you're eliminating some teams that might win a section or NorCal in a lower seed. Curious about what you guys think about that. That NorCal possibly will lose more NorCal games or more state games by taking out some of the strong teams.
Real quickly, I'll give you a quick history. CCS had a format about 4 or 5 years ago where they put 5. The state would only take open division runners up into the state game. So the CCS created 3 open divisions. Divisions 1, 2, and 3 were open divisions separated by enrollment, all A League, I believe, schools, maybe a couple of Bs. And so 5 of the 6 finalists made it to state games. And those were the teams the CCS put into the state games. State didn't want that. They didn't want just powerhouse. They wanted the equity to be spread throughout all of the divisions. They didn't want, some juggernaut, low, private school that maybe has 400 people, but they play as if they have 3,000 people. Yeah. So enough of our soapbox. Let's go back to the picks. How many is this now? This is game 6 on our list. North Coast Section Division 3, where Heritage will be at Acalanes. I got the number 1 seed Acalanes, which hasn't lost a playoff game in a couple of years, won a state title last year. I think they're going to win at home, no matter who their quarterback is. Did their quarterback play last week?
They did. Winkles came back for 3
Okay,
times.
so Acalanes for sure on my end. Left Cal's taking Aka. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, and Winkles, we trust. That's a pretty good offense with him at the controls. And I think they're going to be able to handle this one at home. Although I will say Heritage scared me a little bit with the way they beat James Logan. I felt a little better after hearing about some of the external factors that were going on. But yeah, I'm going with Acalanes.
Joseph?
I picked Acalanes to win the whole thing. So Don's all the way.
Nathan?
Yeah, I'm going with Acalanes. I think they're just going to be too many horses for Heritage to handle.
Computer also taking Acalanes 28-14. Next one on the list is another D3 NCS game where Camp Alindo, the 2 seed at 6-5, will be at home to face San Leandro, which got a big win last week at Northgate, knocked out the Broncos from the NCS tournament. Both teams are 6-5. I've got Camp Alindo winning. I think they've finally figured it out, and if they do win, I'll be really looking forward to next week's rematch against Acalanes. Left Cal State and Camp Alindo. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, I was a little sad to see Northgate lost. I said so many nice things about them. So I'm no longer riding with the Broncos, I guess. I've dismounted, and I'm going to take the Cougars for a spin. Camp Alindo might be the best 6-5 team in our coverage area. So I think they handle this one pretty easily at home.
Joseph, you agree?
You know what? I get one crazy upset pick, and I'm going to use it on San Leandro. I was very impressed by them beating Northgate, and I mean they've competitive games against some good teams this year that they haven't beaten. I mean, I think San Leandro is playing pretty well. Why not?
Nathan, is that a crazy pick, or are you taking San Leandro too?
It's not a crazy pick, but I'm not taking San Leandro. I just think playoff Camp Alindo is a real thing. I think they've, like Christian said, best 6-5 team we've seen. They've been really turning it on the last month or so, and I think at home they're gonna beat San Leandro.
We were talking about Disney stories and stuff, and you won't go with the pirates coming in and shocking the world. That doesn't sound like a Disney movie. No?
Riding in that wet weather.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more like a Hallmark movie to me, but
Yeah, that's a little played out, Joseph. They made like 8 of those already. So
Okay, whatever.
All right. Next one on the list is a CCS Division 3 game where Palo Alto will be at home. Palo Alto also 6-5, coming out of that Bay Division. Going to be at home to face Aptos 6-5. Aptos coming off that win at Willow Glen last week where they put up a lot of points. Aptos still runs that option, wing tee, whatever they run, the Randy Blankenship offense, even though I don't think Randy's no longer the coach there, but I think from what I read over the weekend that they still run that offense. So if they do, if they're running it at a high level. But Palo Alto, man, they have played some big boys this year. Big boys. So I'm gonna roll with the Vikings on a cold, wet, late fall, early winter day in Palo Alto or night. Christian, do you agree, or are you going to take Aptos?
No, I agree with you. I mean, if anyone's suited for, wet, bad weather, it ought to be Vikings. That was basically their thing back in the day. So Palo Alto might be the second best 6-5 team in the Bay Area. So give me the Vikings at home in the rain.
Joseph, who you got?
I mean, I will say, isn't Aptos, aren't they they're the Mariners, right? I mean, it's all about water and stuff. I think Palo Alto. I will say though, Palo Alto, they won D5 2 years ago. They won D4 last year. They're in D3 this year. Shoot, maybe in 2027 they'll be playing in the state open game at this rate, right? Just keep moving up a step. I go Palo Alto. They have played about as good a competition as you can, and I think this is going to show.
Nathan?
Yeah, I'm going with Palo Alto. I covered a game last year where they played Lee, I think it was the Division 4 title game, and it was pouring rain. And they're used to it. I remember talking to the coaches that they're used to it. So I think Palo Alto gets this one pretty easily.
All right. And Left Cal's taking Palo Alto, and the computer's taking Palo Alto 38-21. The next page on the list is we're going to start with an NCS Division II game where Bishop O'Dowd, Nathan, you're going to be there. Bishop O'Dowd's been a great story this year. They're 9-2, not a Disney story, but a great story. 9-2. They're going to be traveling to Brentwood to play Liberty. Liberty 8-3. Liberty's put together a really nice season. I know 2 of their losses were one to Pittsburg and one to Los Gatos. This one's tough, but I'm going to go Liberty. And Left Cow's going Liberty. Nathan, who you got?
Everything in my mind is telling me to go Liberty. They're bigger. They're probably a little bit faster than O'Dowd is, but all I could picture is Hardy Nickerson tweeting out a dragon emoji after the game once they win. So gut feeling, I think O'Dowd pulls off an upset in Brentwood. It's going to be a pretty tight game. I think it'll be like 28-27. But they go down and they win on the last drive or something. I just have a gut feeling O'Dowd's going to pull this one out.
Joseph, you agree?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I picked O'Dowd to win this division. Sorry, Thomas Paine. Don't give me Liberty. Give me Bishop O'Dowd.
All right, Nathan. Or excuse me, Christian. My bad.
Nathan can go again. That's okay.
Nathan, you want to go again? Yeah, we liked your comments so well. We were going to have you go again. Christian.
Yeah, I'm going to do it one more time. Give me Liberty one more time. Probably the last time, because if AV makes it through, that's going to be my pick in the title game, more than likely. Pick them to win the bracket. But Sage Robertson might not throw 6 touchdowns, I will predict. But I think they will have enough holistically to get this done at home.
All right. Computer says Liberty 31-22. So it is everybody's taking Liberty except for Nathan and Joseph. Next one on the list, also NCS Division II, where Windsor at 8-3. Windsor's got a really, really strong program up there in the North Bay. They're going to be making the trip down to play Amador Valley, the 2 seed. The Dons at 7-4 had a big win last week against Las Lomas. This is going to be a much tougher game for Amador Valley, but they're at home. I know the rain could slow them down a little bit, but I'm going to take Amador in this game, but I'm not 100% convinced, but I'll take Amador. Left Cow's taking Amador. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, I debated. I didn't want to go back on my original pick, so I'm going with Amador. But like you said, it's going to be tough for them. Windsor, I believe they just beat MC a week or 2 ago by like 2 touchdowns, so that's very impressive. I think Tristan Tia might have to do some more running today. I mean, not today, Friday. And he's used to.
You can run today to get ready for Friday, but then keep running on Friday.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, do running today, Wednesday, take a little time off Thursday, and then let's see some 100, 150 rush yards. I think they'll be able to complete some passes, but I think he might have to run the ball some for them to win this one.
Joseph, who you got?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I thought, Windsor, I mean, they have proven to be a really good program over the years. They played El Cerrito and won the last 2 NCS Division 2 or 3 title games. They played them close both times. I think won 1, lost 1. I'm taking Windsor.
All right. Windsor going to come on the road. Nathan, you agree with Joseph?
I don't, but here I did do some research into Windsor, and I just want to say that they had, their 3 losses are to San Marin, Cardinal Newman, and Marin Catholic. They lost by a total of 12 points to all 3 teams. So those are all 3 open division teams or Division 1 teams. So
they lost to Marin Catholic.
Yeah, they lost to Marin Catholic.
Or maybe I have a different team.
Yeah, they lost to them by 3. I'm still taking AV though. AV, I'm not going back on my pick. I think Tristan Tia is going to have a Herculean effort. I think they have a last drive. He's gonna take them down 80 yards or whatever it's going to be, and they're going to win it at home.
The computer disagrees. It's taking Windsor probably on a last drive to win 31-28. CCS Division II, Wilcox at home to play Menlo Atherton. These teams played just a couple of weeks ago where Wilcox was in a competitive game and pulled it out in the 4th quarter. The Chargers are at 9-2. The Bears are at 7-4. These teams have a rich history of playing each other in the playoffs. They've had some classic games through the years. I think this is going to be yet another one. A little nervous about the Wilcox quarterback situation in a game like this, but I picked the Chargers to win this division. I'm going to stick with that pick, going with the Chargers. Left Cow's going with the Chargers. Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just there last week. I wanted to get a sense of, how long Kai Imahara is going to be out. I do not think he's going to play this week. That's pretty confident in saying that. But that being said, I'm still going to go with Wilcox. I think this is going to be a great game. It was a great game the last time these two teams played only 2 weeks ago. And MA kind of closed the gap after Kai left the game. And then Braden Rosa, as he does, was able to close the game out late. But, I mean, talking to Paul Rosa after the game last week, which they won 36-3, I mean, he was all about, don't look at the scoreboard. Don't get big heads. We need to practice. We need to get in a better rhythm with, Braden Rosa and Adrian Garcia at quarterback. So I think there will be no overlooking MA. Wilcox is going to bring everything to the table that they can, and I think that's going to be enough to win this one.
Joseph, you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I had picked Santa Teresa to upset Wilcox, and then every time I check Twitter, it's Wilcox is just expanding that lead more and more and more. I mean, Rosa, was the running back De Los Santos, I think.
Vallejo, Elijah Vallejo.
Vallejo. I mean, just they got so many options in the backfield. I think they're gonna find a way to beat Menlo in a competitive game.
Nathan?
Coach Rosa said, "Don't overlook MA," but I'm gonna have to overlook them here. I think Wilcox wins this one really big. I mean, I just think the style of play Wilcox plays does not favor MA at all. So give me Wilcox, and I think it'll blow out.
Wow.
Computer thinks Wilcox can win 31-13.
Is that a blowout? Is that considered a blowout?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's a blowout enough, right? This next game on the list, CCS Division II, also. Menlo was there last year. They lost at home last year. This game was going to be at Menlo, but because of the predicted wet weather, they've moved the game off the grass field there at Menlo College, and they're going to go a mile or so down the road, a couple miles down the road to play this one in Redwood City at Sequoia at 7:00 on Saturday night. So it'll be Menlo against Palma. Both of these teams are Palma has a history that goes way, way back in CCS. I mean, they are one of the blue bloods from down in Salinas. Going to be making the trip up. I should have gone with Menlo last week. Thinking about it, I'm going to go with them this week. I'm taking the Knights to make it to the final, get over that hump. Left Cow's taking the Knights. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, this was I haven't seen Menlo this year. I too went with Christopher last week and got burned with that. I don't really have a great read on this game. I kind of leaned on the computer. I think Palma might be the best 6-5 team just outside our coverage area. The fact that Menlo has to go to Sequoia and play on Saturday at 7, I think is going to be a little bit disruptive. And there were a few things in that Christopher game. I mean, I didn't have access to the drive chart, but it looked like there were 3 or 4 fourth down stops, So I think Palma, the strength of that program is going to be able to carry them through this weekend.
Joseph, you agree?
I hear you, Christian. That's totally logical. But I picked against Menlo last week and got burned. I'm not doing it again. What was it, Nathan? You said their quarterback, Freehill, pretty good. Jack Freehill, every time you look, he's putting up crazy numbers. I think that continues, and they're going to beat Palma.
Nathan, you agree with Joseph?
I do. I think Jack Freehill, his game is not, always sitting in the pocket and throwing darts. He could run a lot too. So I think that favors Menlo in this game in the weather. If it's, I know it's on Saturday, but if it's any way still wet from the night before, I think Menlo still gets it done. So give me Menlo.
And the computer is taking Palma in a nail biter, 26-24. A lot of close games. Now we've reached that stage of the show. Thank you for sticking with us. We have reached the stage where we're going to pick the top divisions in both sections, starting with NCS Division 1, Open/Division 1, but this is the Division 1 side of that bracket, where San Ramon Valley, the 3 seed at 10-1, will be at home to face the number 5 seed Cardinal Newman Cardinals, I believe, right? that
Yeah.
their nickname? 10-1. I'm gonna let you guys go first. Joseph, I'm gonna start with you. Who do you got in this one?
You know, the last time that we saw San Ramon Valley play host to a North-based school, I believe it was 2022 NorCal title game. It was also in the rain. How did that game end? Austin Shelton kicks a game-winning field goal. I think different players. Obviously, Luke Baker's not there anymore, and a few of the guys have moved on. But I think San Ramon Valley wins a close one in the rain, game-winning field goal. It's deja vu all over again.
I agree.
Nathan,
and
you agree?
I also think this is going to be pretty close, but I think the X factor in this game is Marco Jones. I think he's going to be a disruptor. I think it's going to be a close game down the stretch, and I think they're going to make enough stops with Marco Jones getting in the backfield and giving the ball back to Rhett Thompson in that offense. So give me San Ramon on Friday.
Christian, you going to stick with the local home team?
I am. I'm very glad we got to this game because I can correct something I said earlier. It was Cardinal Newman that lost to MC and then turned around and beat them by multiple touchdowns. So glad to get that fixed. And now I will invalidate my own argument by taking SRV. I think they're a really good team. Marco Jones is made for a game in the rain, just wrecking the game, sacks, tackles for loss. So, in a tight game in the rain at SRV, give me the Wolves at home.
All right. It's a clean sweep, at least on the human side of this. The computer is picking Cardinal Newman 21-20.
Toss-up.
Toss-up. 3 more games on the list. This next one is the CCS Division I game on Saturday afternoon. Christian will be there in San Francisco to see Riordan, a red-hot Riordan, which has taken off since its loss to Valley Christian about a month ago. The Crusaders are at 7-4, going to be playing Los Gatos at 9-2. This is a rematch of a first-round CCS Open/Division I game last year that was played in the South Bay, where Los Gatos knocked out Riordan on his way to winning a CCS Division I title, and then the following week winning a NorCal title and playing in a state championship game. Joseph, do you think Los Gatos gets it done on the road 2 weeks in a row?
You know what? My head says no, but my heart says yes. I picked against Los Gatos last week. I'll pick against Riordan this week. If Riordan wins, I probably won't pick against them for the rest of the year, as short as that is. But Los Gatos, I mean, they know how to win the playoffs. What can I say? They've proven it time and time again. So at least over the last couple of years. So Mark Crail, picking your team.
Nathan, you picked Los Gatos last week. You've been high on Riordan most of the season. Who you got?
I will. I'm going to go Riordan. I've been on the Riordan train. I've never gotten off, and I'm not going to get off now. I think they're going to be too much for Los Gatos. I think Sarah was just a good matchup for Los Gatos. That's why I picked Los Gatos in that one. But I think Sarah just going to be a little bit too fast.
Riordan's
Riordan's going to be a little bit too fast. Mike Mitchell has been playing lights out. So give me Riordan in this one.
Christian?
Nathan, I have to say, I feel like there was a brief period of time you were off the Riordan train.
Yeah.
I was off it when they played Pittsburgh, and I think that I was smart to get off it then. But I've been on it. For the most part. I didn't really get off.
There you go. Well, I got all the way off and separated myself entirely. And now I'm all the way back, harkening back to last week. That purple Kool-Aid, I think, is in my future. And it's tasting pretty good right now. So, I mean, Riordan, we all thought SoCal had a good chance to beat them. And not only did they win, I think it was 34 points, something like that. Reading the game recap in the Santa Cruz Sentinel, it was not even that close. I mean, Riordan had pulled starters. It was a complete domination. So give me Riordan. I think they're poised to win this division this year. I will say, if Los Gatos is going to win this, Mark Crail is going to have to pull out probably multiple trick plays. And if Los Gatos wins, I will drink orange Kool-Aid on the show next week. So there you go, Cats.
Can we douse a little black stuff in it to make it orange and black?
There you go. I'll put some weirdness in there, make it black and orange.
All right. I know I gave a shout out to Mark Crail earlier in the show. Done an exceptional job. I just think Riordan has too much talent. I'm with Nathan that It took a while for this talent to all mesh together. But I think it's come together now. They're going to be a tough out no matter who they're playing. I think Los Gatos is going to have a great game plan. They're going to put up a heck of a showing, but I just think Riordan has too much talent. I'm taking Riordan. Leftcast taking Riordan. The computer thinks it's going to be close, but I think the computer's still factoring in a lot of those mid-season Riordan games, right? Because they had SoCal winning last week.
Yeah, about 60% probability. So
so the computer says 28-24 Riordan. If Los Gatos is at 28-24 in the fourth quarter and has the ball, I would think Los Gatos has knowing the way, having watched Los Gatos through the years under Mark, I think they would be in prime position to pull it out. I just don't know if it's going to be that close in the fourth quarter. So we will see. Next one on the list, we have two more. These are the open division games. They're both Friday night. So we said Christian's going to be at this one CCS Open Division Championship. It's going to be at San Jose City. We're the 2 seed, St. Francis. Remember, St. Francis really should have been the 1 seed, we thought, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they beat SI at SI.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, human element has to come in when you do your seeds.
Yes.
And if you beat a team on the road, the way that St. Francis beat SI, I think St. Francis should be wearing the brown jerseys this week, but they're not. They're going to be wearing the white jerseys against SI. But as I told you guys when the seeds came out, that they're going to be playing on a neutral side anyway, which actually is much closer to Mountain View than it is San Francisco. So they're just going to be on the opposite. They're not going to be on the press box side, St. Francis, or wearing the brown jerseys. That being said, I think Kingston's primed for a huge game in the rain. I'm taking St. Francis to win its first CCS title in about a decade, and its 17th overall, which will break the tie with Los Gatos, which also has 16 CCS titles in its history. So I'm taking St. Francis to win. Christian, who do you got?
Yeah, wearing white jerseys worked out pretty well for them last time. I was a little puzzled to see. I think the computer has SI about 60% chance to win this game, which I was not foreseeing. I mean, I don't think the computer watched that last game between those two teams. St. Francis doesn't even really want to throw the ball if they don't have to. They're fully capable of putting up about 300 rush yards. I don't know if they'll get there, but I think they'll have more than enough to win this game. Maybe not comfortably, but I think they will be in control of this game at the end.
Joseph, you agree?
Yeah, really everything Kristen just said. I think if there's one team that is kind of designed to play in the rain that isn't called De La Salle, it's St. Francis. They can just line up in that I formation with 2 tight ends and a fullback and just run gap and run toss 40 times with their all-star running back.
That's a pretty good recipe for success in the rain in a championship game. Unless they're playing Sarah.
Yeah.
Which a few years ago, Sarah was able to shut that down. Nathan, who do you got?
I think if this game was in San Francisco, I would have taken Ignatius, but since this game is much closer to St. Francis, about 15, 20-minute drive to San Jose City College, I got the Mountain View School here. I think St. Francis is going to run it down their throats, and I think like you guys said, in the rain, it's going to come down to who can take care of the ball, and I think St. Francis' offense is much more suited to do that in a game like this.
Also, I love that we're all saying in the rain. It wouldn't be funny if it gets to Friday and it's just perfectly clear skies, breezy weather.
Everything opens up.
I'd still take St. Francis. I mean, someone mentioned 40 carries for Kingston. I mean, he is uniquely suited for that role. They will give him the ball as many times as he needs to win this game.
Yes.
So it's a clean sweep on the human side, but the computer, which I think factors in. I mean, SI's what they played. SI played San Ramon early, and they, some of the strength of schedule that SI played. St. Francis played De La Salle, so who knows what the computer's thinking? But the computer's taking SI to win 26-24. Last game on the list, it's Pittsburg playing De La Salle, Diablo Valley College, Friday night. We know who Nathan's picking. We think we even know the score. He said something like 45-42. So I'm going to put you down, Nathan, for Pittsburgh. Christian, you gonna be bold like that and go Pittsburgh?
No, I got to stick with the other 11-0 team in our region, or I guess, Napa Valley, or Sonoma Valley, not in our region. But, I mean, De La Salle, international champions, bring the belt out, beating NFL Academy, beating everyone like 50-0. I mean, De La Salle is going to win this game, I think. This would be the story of all. When I talk about Disney, Pittsburgh, I mean, like we said, they're going to put them in the Hall of Fame right away. Going to have a ticker tape parade. Mickey Mouse should show up if Pittsburgh wins this game.
If Pittsburgh wins this game, they will do a movie on Pittsburgh winning this game.
Yes, immediately. They'll just
and the
start
game
filming
stands taller.
right away.
Somebody will do a movie. Joseph, is there going to be a movie about Pittsburgh in this game?
So I'm gonna be there, and I can tell you right now, there's not gonna be a movie about this game. I think De La Salle wins, and I'll even give you a score. I think it's gonna be 49-14.
Oh my God.
They're going to print that out and put it on the Pittsburgh lockers.
You know what? You can do that because I think I predicted Sonoma Valley to lose by a similar margin. That I was feeling kind of about that, and then De La Salle goes up 28-0 in the first quarter. I think this is De La Salle's year. So
I'm taking De La Salle. I think they're going to win by a couple of scores. I don't know if it's going to be 49-14. I just think this is a very special De La Salle team that's gotten better as the season's moved along. Lefkow's also taking De La Salle. I think De La Salle, I'm going to go bold and say that because I was there in the late 2010s when De La Salle played Mater Dei and Bosco, really good Mater Dei and Bosco teams, and were within a couple of scores. In fact, they were on the doorstep of making it a one-score game against Bosco, I think, midway through the fourth quarter of one of those games. So it wasn't like the Sarah complete blowouts down there. I think those teams have come back to the pack a little bit. Looking at some of the scores from Southern California, I think De La Salle not only wins this game, they could be competitive in SoCal in the Open Division State Championship game. So that's my feeling. I'm taking De La Salle.
Give me a score.
Well, the computer says 41-26. I'm going to say something like 42-21, 42-20, something like that.
I will say this about Pittsburgh. I mean, if you look at the teams that gave De La Salle the most trouble this year, it's El Cerrito and St. Mary's of Stockton. I think Pittsburgh is better than both of those teams, and
Yes.
I think they have much better weapons and much deeper. They're a much deeper team. So I think De La Salle, Joseph, 49-14 is, I think, is just a little bit ridiculous.
Okay, with that, let me elaborate just a little bit. I'm also predicting it's gonna rain.
This is true.
This
is true.
Okay, predict the score if it doesn't rain.
Oh, if it doesn't rain, I'd say something like 35-21. But if it rains, and I've seen some of these Bay Area teams try to throw the ball in the rain, they are not used to it. Yes, I come from the South where it rains a lot more, and teams are more equipped for it. Here in the Bay Area, if it rains, it looks like teams just don't know how to throw. So I think in a game where you can't throw, it's
All
going
right.
to get out of hand.
Since we all pick scores except Christian, what do you think the score is going to be of this one?
Yeah, I think, I think it's probably a couple touchdown game. I mean, I don't know if De La Salle completely embarrasses them. And I think Justin Alaba has too much respect for that Pitt program to just run it up on them. I do want to say
he won't run it up against anybody. That is a fact, a known fact. He's right up there with Mike Janda when he was at Bellarmine. And what happened in some of those WCAL school games this season with teams have respect for the other team and they're not putting up 80 on them. So, but I don't think even if De La Salle wanted to put up 70 on Pittsburgh, they ain't putting 70 on.
No.
He seems way too talented. I think Pittsburgh's going to be in the game for a while. And then De La Salle is going to take charge. But I don't think it's going to be 49-14, but I think I said 42-21, something like that. Somewhere around.
You know what? Let me amend my score. I think De La Salle.
Come on.
I think De La Salle.
It's already printed out. They already have it in the lockers at Pittsburgh.
No.
Come
49.
on.
I think De La Salle puts up 49 because that offense is ridiculous. But I do think Pittsburgh puts up 28. 49-28.
Oh, now you.
See, we pushed him to that side. So I think this is good conversation to have because we're all talking ourselves into Pittsburgh. Maybe you guys think about it this week and you're like, you know what? We had a good conversation. Maybe Pittsburgh does win. I don't know. Maybe Nathan was
Hey,
right.
I could lock myself into some ancient mystical cavern in Northern California for 20 years and think about it. I still wouldn't convince myself. I don't think that De La Salle is going to lose the game.
Hey, I'm not drinking, the orange Kool-Aid yet, but I will drink a little Sunny D, just a little pregame because I think Pittsburgh's going to win. So
Pre-game, wow.
You need that darkness retreat, Joseph. You need that Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat to get you to pick Pittsburgh.
Well,
I don't think so.
I'm going to give a shout out to all of us because this was by far our longest show of the year and probably maybe even our most entertaining. We'll see. So don't print 49-14 on that locker. 49-28.
Yes. 49-28.
2 touchdowns. See, maybe we could talk longer, Darren, and we can convince him that it'll be a tie game.
By the way,
I've already picked 3 touchdowns.
Before we cut, I just want to say the Oakland Athletic League, they are playing their championship game. I will be there on Saturday. Shout out to Oakland High. They went 0-9 in 2022. They're now 8-3, and they made the Silver Bowl. So we talked a lot about Guns turnaround from 0-10 to CCS 5. Oakland, pretty great story with Coach Terry Hendricks.
Disney story.
Disney story.
Disney story. If they win against Mac, which wasn't on our list, if they win against Mac, they will do a Disney movie.
I think Damian Lillard would come down and congratulate them and run with them in the parade or something if
in person.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for week 13. Check us out, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. Not too late to sign up for a digital subscription as we are getting ready to transition into winter sports, basketball, soccer, a little wrestling, right around the corner. And that is a wrap.